Thanks, Angie. Well done. So let me say a quick hello, good morning-ish. I'm Karen Stahlberg. I direct the HILS online degree program. I'm also faculty here at the University of Michigan's Medical School in the Department of Learning Health Sciences and Obstetrics and Gynecology. Angie, I'll turn it over to you. Sullivan.
Thank you. My name is Angie Sullivan. I'm the HILS Online Program Manager, and welcome. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon.
And Angela.
Hi, I'm one of the students in the current program. My name's Angela.
And she's amazing. We have a pretty small group. If you want to introduce yourself, please feel free. If not, you can also hide. It's okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Candace. I currently work in the Department of Surgery and the Center for Surgical Innovation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry. I am a second-year medical student at MSU, and I'm currently here on a research here at the Center for Healthcare Outcomes and Policy.
Oh, fantastic. Yay. What a great group. All right. Well, I've got basically a slide presentation to give. And then happy to open for discussions. Okay. Wonderful. Let's make sure. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. And then I got to go to slideshow. And hopefully you can all see that. Okay. True story. Wonderful. Okay. So we're here today to talk about how the HILS online degree program can really help people develop the skills and knowledge to lead and change and transform and actually improve healthcare systems. So the health infrastructures and learning systems degree program is really unique, and actually there's not one like it. You can get a master's in health informatics, you can get an MBA, you can get an MPH, but you can't get all of the implementation science and the health professions stuff and data science all together as well, because we have this joint emphasis on social and social sciences and information, really through this lens of organizational change and helping people get better and improve and continue to learn and change. And we're hoping that graduates of the program will be able to create these innovative solutions that can really address and change the demanding healthcare challenges that we have. What's great about the degree program, in our humble opinion, is that it's online and it's generally asynchronous. You can finish the 27 credits in 1 year, or you can spread it out over the course of 2 to 3 years. Whatever sort of works. There's just, this flexibility. The only thing is that over the course of the degree program, we do have you come into Ann Arbor 2 to 3 times to really participate in sort of in-person applied learning types of things. And we'll talk about that as we go through. And there we go. So we have HILS students from really all over the world, but all of our HILS online learners are actually United States residents and or citizens. We can't have international students in an online degree program for a variety of regulatory reasons. But we've got sort of almost all of the United States covered, except Hawaii. So who are the folks who take this HILS degree? Where do they come from? So we have lots of folks who are health sciences and healthcare professionals, and we feel like that's a really good fit because of understanding the sort of community and the requirements of like what happens in a hospital setting. We also have lots of folks who are very well-versed in information and informatics and computing. We have problem solvers who think about engineering as well as organizational policies and complex organization structures. And then, of course, because we're talking about a health system with people who are in it, we also have experts in behavioral and social sciences as well. This is the current cohort, or many members of the current cohort. This picture was taken in fall of 2022 when we came in for our first in-person institute and orientation. We've got physicians and nurses and business analysts and medical students and a medical sales representative who are all thinking about how to change and adjust healthcare. So learning health systems, when they are working, use this learning cycle to sort of help implement, sort of understand, analyze, and implement change. And so we think about the formation of a learning community around some sort of health problem of interest that's then focused on performance to data, sort of at the 5 o'clock position here, thinking about performance to data, then taking that data and learning from it to generate new knowledge and new evidence, and then taking that evidence and putting it back into practice and performance so that then we can once again go through that learning loop. The challenge is that learning cycles need to close the loop. Most of us are very familiar living in just the performance to data. If you're an informatics expert, living in the analytics space, if you are a data to knowledge person, trying to take this sort of, evidence-based medicine and putting it into practice, but having it not sustain or not maintain because you're missing this implementation science piece of the puzzle, if you will. So when we think about learning health systems, we also think about the infrastructures that need to sort of support and scaffold all of the activities that occur. So you need things like the technology to capture the practice change. You need to think about, how do we support a learning community? What's the technology for sharing and analyzing data? And then how to make it actionable, how to get tech delivered and giving people sort of tailored messages. And so as part of this degree program, we basically teach all of the stuff that goes into the learning cycle, but also the things that help to make the infrastructure support those cycles. So we talk about healthcare data for decision-making. We also have a course on policy and ethics, right? Whose data is it? How do you use it? What's the right use of data? Who's excluded from those data sets and why? And what does that cause in terms of healthcare disparities and difficulties? We think about, how do we share knowledge? And then how can technology promote the changes and the implementation that we want to see happen? So much like our Taubman Health Science library has no books in it, our HILS online degree program has no formal classes that you have to attend at a certain day or time. However, you will complete a 27 credit degree program and complete an applied learning cycle project as part of sort of like the capstone for the degree. And with this degree, you obtain a Master of Science degree from the University of Michigan Medical School. There we go. For those who are wondering, boy, is this like content sort of something that I'm interested in or not interested in? We're really happy to report that Dr. Vinod Vidaswaran, who's also in the department and teaches, actually has an open online course through Coursera called Information Extraction from Free Text Data in Health. And it's basically an overview and an introduction to advanced machine learning and natural language processing that helps people think about unstructured text data, like in our electronic health records, whether those are clinical notes, radiology reports, discharge summaries. But basically, the reason why we bring this up is because this degree, in addition to helping you and train you to think about health systems, also teaches the methodologies needed to evaluate and to change the sort of organization in a way, right? So a lot of folks are very interested in machine learning or artificial intelligence. You can call it a variety of things to understand what's happening in their healthcare environment and to try to figure out how to change things. But the challenge is that there's not many people around with those skill sets. And so that's where people kind of get stuck. So one of the nice things about this degree program is that you do get some of this overview of how to actually make those methodologic changes or understandings to help inform activities. So what's really common about this degree is that we actually put it on the Canvas learning management system on the Canvas platform. So every class basically looks like this, right? So you've got a welcome screen, and each course is structured in its own way, generally modules that are released week to week that have introductory videos, recorded lectures, video overviews. Sorry to say, lots of assignments, right? Reading assignments, asynchronous class discussion. There may be quizzes or papers or group assignments. And of course, the grading is going to vary by course. In terms of the structure, so this is a image of Ann Sales, who is one of the founders of the degree program, who has since gone on to the University of Missouri. She's actually a chair there, which is kind of cool. But she is one of the instructors, along with all of the faculty in the department, who really sort of put this all together, put the degree all together based on AHRQ competencies for learning health systems. And Angie's going to talk to you about that later. So in terms of the Learning Cycle project, this is really a way to apply the knowledge that you're gaining to a realistic environment. And so in the fall term, the first fall term, we kind of want you to get your feet wet, get an understanding of what's going on, maybe meet with your mentor or advisor once or twice. In the winter term, we try to help you refine an idea, think about a proposal, get it organized for a project. And then in the spring, summer, of when people plan to graduate or when they plan to do their learning capstone, that's when we also do a course that sort of wraps around that project to help support you thinking about dissemination and implementation of a real life project. So let me just show you an example of a learning cycle project that one of our HILS PhD graduates has actually completed. But what's nice about this degree program is that the content you're learning is the same basic content that the PhD folks are learning. Obviously, they go on to do additional training and additional sort of research, but the foundations of the program are all the same. So you're not getting a watered down version of the degree. You're not getting, right, it's really the same HILS degree. So Dr. Munyesi worked in our OR environment and was looking at retained surgical instruments. That's what RSI is. Those should be never events, and trying to understand why we still were having retained surgical instruments and what was preventing people from reporting, or trying to understand why the reported numbers did not match with the actual numbers that we were finding in the environment. And so as part of that, he was looking at the data quality and where the data was coming into the system, and was able to do these sort of interviews and studies looking to see what are the barriers to reporting, right? Why aren't people reporting? And so if they weren't getting feedback about it, if the usability of the reporting tool was bad, were there time pressures? And that's why, they're trying to turn cases over. And yes, there was a retained surgical instrument that we had to go back and get, but they just didn't have time to report it. Or if they just weren't certain with the policy, like when do you report? So all of these, if you can identify why people aren't reporting, then you can actually get better at helping them to report, so that then we can better understand the underlying reasons why there might be retained surgical instruments, right? So it's that cycle of like trying to figure out where the gaps are and filling those gaps. Yeah, Candace.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your flow. How did he go about collecting the data to determine, the time pressure, lack of feedback? How did he get that information?
Yeah, so that is the qualitative component of research, where he did surveys as well as structured interviews with people. And so that would be, again, another example of the methodology that that we teach so
Mhm.
that people can do this type of research.
Mhm.
It's not just the ones and zeros of the data, although that's important, but also how to understand what's happening in the organization. Yeah, great question. So Catherine Irwin, who graduated in 2021, really speaks to the sort of richness of having a learning cycle project, because it really helped her sort of frame the content that she was engaged in and figure out how to apply it in real world ways. So let's quickly talk about the course sequence. So if you were going to do a 1-year plan, then it would be basically 3 semesters or a full year, if you will. We start in August and would end in August of the following year. It would be 12 credits, so 4 3-credit courses in the fall, in the winter, and in spring, summer. The courses are generally offered only in 1 semester. So if you take, 1 or 2 courses, then you'd have to wait till the next fall to, complete the list. And then we do have the institutes where you come to campus. And then we also help support you as you're thinking about your learning health cycle project, getting an IRB approval, thinking about how that all works. Again, if you were to space things out, this is what it could look like, where you do the 2 classes in the fall, 2 in the winter, fall, winter. The classes don't have a specific sequence per se, so it's not like you have to have one before the other. It really is about sort of choosing what's of interest to you and what you may or may not have time for, particularly if people are still working while taking this degree. So a little deeper dive, because that last slide just showed numbers, but we wanted to show you what types of courses are being offered. So we talk about health infrastructures and policy in 2 different courses. There's a health infrastructure seminar, which is $650 in the fall. And then in the winter is the ethics and policy issues. We also have 2 implementation science courses. 621 is in the fall. And then 622 is taught by yours truly in that spring, summer season, if you will, of when you're doing your capstone. So we'll all be in class together spring, summer, right? Take one for the team, for everybody. And then a number of data science courses, including exploratory data analytics, knowledge representation, sort of how do you present data to individuals. Many of us are familiar with Tableau or, those pie charts, but how is data really actionable and best understood? And then there's a learning cycle informatics course as well, 678, that is taught in the fall. We do teach some research methods because there may be individuals who sort of start out thinking about a master's program, but then decide that either they want to go on to a PhD program or their work actually involves research. And so they do need the skill sets to at least be able to talk to their colleagues who are doing the analysis. This picture is actually of Dr. Chuck Friedman. This is from last year, a year ago, who, as the chair of the department and sort of the brain brainchild behind learning health systems and health infrastructures and learning sciences degree. Grace Hone is a PharmD graduate who actually got her PharmD and then decided to stay for 1 more year to get a master's in health infrastructures and learning systems, because she's interested in genomics and pharmacogenomics and thinking about how can we make genetics part of the decision making in how we treat individuals with pharmacology, and basically she was really focused on chemotherapies. And so how do you build that into the system, and how do you make sure that people are getting the right medications? So our on-campus institutes are required. We give you those dates well ahead of time, but in general, they're August, which is when orientation starts, and then February and June. The goal of the institutes is to reinforce current coursework and provide networking and mentoring opportunities. We generally have you come in sort of a day and then overnight, and then the following day for active learning sessions, skill development, an opportunity to meet with your mentor and advisor. And then really the most important part, I think, is the socialization and the opportunity to meet all the other HILS faculty and HILS learners, including in the residential Masters of Science program and the PhD program. So we consider ourselves one big HILS family, even though the mode of instruction may be different, or the impending degree may be different, right? So the goal is to graduate people who are going to lead, change, and transform health, improve health by using data, and become a leader in this implementation and change environment. So far, folks in who have graduated, we have kind of sucked a few of them into the PhD program, so be careful there. But most have become health system innovators. We have folks who open their own consulting firm who are using these skills to help other organizations improve. We have folks doing learning informatics as well as health improvement. Sorry, when it got ahead of myself a little bit, but you can see where our graduates are now. We have graduates from the program who started in a company, and then two of the graduates actually were hired by the third student to work in the company on the West Coast that actually supports electronic health record systems in federally qualified healthcare networks on the West Coast. So that was kind of cool. You met your new employer in the degree program. So I'm going to turn this over to Angie. I got the transition right this time, my friend.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Dr. Stolberg. So I am going to cover a few of the student services side of things. So to begin with advising. So students are paired with a faculty advisor who will have live office hours, and typically these will be via Zoom, or you can always contact them via email. And I did want to note that you're going to be taught and mentored by the same faculty who teach in the residential program. For example, pictured here is Dr. Rachel Richardson at one of our HILS Online orientation sessions last year. And she's a professor in our department, and she conducts research on the quality and usability of data from electronic health records. And here she's advising a HILS online learner who has an interest in health systems to improve patient outcomes. And I did want to note that you'll have easy access to me as the program manager through email, individual group, Zoom meeting, Slack, the HILS online community, HILS online community page and Canvas. And there are a variety of ways to get in contact with me and Dr. Stolberg. So the one thing that I did want to point out is that even though it's an online program, you'll be supported by real people such as myself and Dr. Stolberg and other faculty, because we truly want to give you the full learning experience as a Michigan student. So being a student in our online program, you'll have access to an abundant variety of student support services. Such as shown here is the Rackham Graduate School. They have student communities such as students with disabilities, students with children, LGBTQ plus students, health and well-being resources. Then there's the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. And this overlaps somewhat with what Rackham offers for resources such as health and wellness, diversity, equity, and inclusion resources. And you'll also have access to the other university resources such as counseling and psychological services, Taubman Health Sciences Library, in addition to all other libraries on campus, students of color of Rackham, and these are just a few of those resources listed here. So again, there's an abundant variety of student support services for our online students. And then tuition, this is based on the 2022-2023 academic year. So please note that tuition and fees often change each year again. So these are based on this year. So typically a student is going to take between 6 to 12 hours and 6 hours is a part-time student, and then 9 hours or more is considered full-time. So for example, if you're a part-time Michigan resident, tuition is $8,567. And then if you're a non-resident taking 6 hours, which is part-time, it's $17,333 each semester. And then for a full-time, which is 9 hours or more, tuition is $12,758 for Michigan residents. And then it's $25,907 for a non-resident. And there are also mandatory fees assessed each term. As you'll see here, a registration fee, student central government, et cetera, for about $166. And then we wanted to break it down for you even further. So if you were to complete the program in 1 year, this is what it would look like. So as a Michigan resident, that first fall semester is $12,758. Second semester winter term is $12,758. And then that spring summer term is $4,376. And that's going to give you an estimated total of $29,892. And then as a non-Michigan resident, that first semester fall is $25,907. That second semester winter term, again, is $25,907. And then that spring summer term is $8,759, giving you an estimated total of $60,573. And again, this is based on 2022-2023 data, and it's subject to change. And then some additional expenses that you'll want to consider, study materials such as the usual stuff, books, notebooks, things along those lines. And you'll note that many of our textbooks are available for free online or via the Michigan Library. You'll want a high-speed internet service. Computer equipment, software, what's recommended university-wide is a webcam, RAM of 4 gigabytes, microphone, headphones, compatible browser. And then additional expenses will be for travel, like Dr. Stahlberg mentioned. Students are required to attend the in-person institute sessions 3 times throughout their time in the program. And application requirements, we require a bachelor's degree with 1 statistics class, personal and academic statement of purpose, and I'll go into more detail on this in a few minutes, resume, a CV, transcripts, 3 letters of recommendation. And for these letters, you'll want to choose people who know you well and those that can provide an evaluation of your ability to perform and succeed at the graduate level. And often that might include a manager or a supervisor from school or work. If possible, include at least 1 letter from a past or current professor, advisor, or someone who has supervised you in a job or an internship. And I wanted to note that the GRE is no longer required for admission. So some application tips I'll review for you, starting with the academic statement. And this is where you will want to discuss your primary research area of interest. You'll want to reach out to potential advisors, 2 to 3 HILS faculty, to introduce yourself and discuss the potential fit to our program. And faculty are aware that interested applicants reach out to them, so don't feel strange sending them a cold email introducing yourself. And you'll want to do this before completing your academic statement of purpose. You can read about each of our faculty on our website and choose those that perhaps are doing research or teach in an area of interest to you. And in that statement, you'll want to explain why you identified the potential advisors you did and interactions you had with them. In addition, you'll want to describe your understanding of learning health systems and what interests you about them. And if applicable, describe any prior research experiences, courses, or projects that have prepared you for graduate study. So all this is covered on the application, so you don't need to remember it right now. So then for your personal statement, this is different than your academic, and this is where you'll get the opportunity to explain how your background and life experiences, other opportunities or challenges motivated your decision to pursue a graduate degree at the University of Michigan. So this should be more of a discussion of your journey that has led to your decision to seek a graduate degree. And you'll want to make sure that you do not repeat your academic statement of purpose here. And then we have some resources on learning health systems that can help you with your applications that I'll send you in an email after the session. To begin with, we have a couple of journal articles. This first one, Development of the Learning Health System Research Core Competencies, which discusses how the core competencies for learning health systems were developed. Next is a journal article written by the chair of the department, Dr. Chuck Friedman, which you saw his picture earlier, and Josh Rubin, who is a program officer in our department. Weaving together a healthcare improvement tapestry, Learning Health System brings together health IT data stakeholders to share knowledge and improve health. So be sure to check that one out. In addition, we have a website link to the Learning Health Systems Open Access Journal. And this is an open access journal that's freely available to read and download. And then last is the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality Learning Health Systems website. And this is an agency that funds LHS researchers, and you can go here and learn about different types of research that is funded by the agency. So again, I'll be sending you all these resources. And some application tips. Please be sure to proofread your statement carefully, ask a friend, a colleague, or a mentor to review it, paying special attention to those typographical errors, grammar, punctuation, and just overall clarity. And submit all materials in a timely manner to prevent delay in reviewing your application. So for applying, since we are a Rackham Graduate School, you'll apply through the Rackham Graduate School website. You will complete their online application found on their website, and you can also find a link on our website as well. On the site, you'll upload all your materials in addition to sending them directly to us if needed at any point. We have two deadlines. First is February 1st, and applicants who apply by this deadline are eligible for priority scholarships. So the scholarships are merit-based and candidates are reviewed holistically by the admissions committee. So you'll want to be sure to get those applications in early. And then June 1st is the final deadline to apply. There are fees to apply, $10 if you're a Rackham student, $75 for non-Rackham applicants. And then we do have fee waivers available. So reach out to me if you're interested in obtaining a fee waiver.
Hey, Angie.
Yeah.
If this is a Rackham program, yeah?
Yes.
So what do you mean by non-Rackham and current Rackham? Like if I'm already enrolled in a program, I'm a current Rackham program?
Yes, if you're in a current Rackham program, then you're a Rackham student. So we have students who are outside of like School from Information or School of Nursing who are not part of the Rackham school. Yeah.
So as myself who's not currently enrolled in anything, I would be a non-Rackham application. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So the application timeline, we aim to notify applicants 6 to 8 weeks after the receipt of the application. So again, get those applications in early. And then we get questions about transfer credit. And at this time, we're not allowing credits to be transferred. However, if you've taken a course that's equivalent to one of our required courses for the program, we may be able to review options for substitute electives or other course options. And then here's our contact information along with our website. And you can find a lot of the information that we discussed today on the website. And in addition, feel free to reach out to Dr. Stahlberg or myself at any time with questions. So at this time, we'd like to thank you for your attention and open it up for questions.
Absolutely. Or Angela, as a current student, if you have anything you want to add or clarify if I made mistakes along the way.
It's, I mean, I just can't recommend it highly enough. And I think one other advantage that, well, I didn't expect until I got into the program is that the classes are small. And so it's pretty intimate. You know, you're in a small group with other learners and you're learning with them. You're getting to know them really well, and your instructors know you. They know your health problem of interest. They know what your background is. You know, and you can reach out to them with questions. They're all very approachable and accessible. It's pretty sweet.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this incredible presentation. I learned a lot more than, scouring the websites and trying to look up information on my own. I had a quick question about the part-time versus full-time. So I am currently on a research year, and by the time of my anticipated matriculation, if I get into the program, I will be resuming my medical school didactic curriculum during my second year. So I was looking towards the part-time. And as a longtime Ann Arbor resident, I would be able to have that support and residential. I would be able to come back anytime for in-person stuff easily. In terms of being able to concurrently do HILS curriculum with any other, work or what may have you, how do current students fare with that type of, concurrent work?
Yeah, no, so in general, what I would say, having gone through, didactics and medical school myself, I don't know that I would try to do both, in all honesty. What we do have medical students who are taking the master's degree program now as basically like a gap year, if you will, between their didactics and their clinical year, much like you would get an MPH or an MBA. There's a lot of folks doing that. We do have MD students who, take a big time out to get their PhDs. I guess, you really would want to talk to your advisors at your school to see if this was even feasible. If you figure that each course probably takes 8 to 10 hours a week in terms of work, right? If you do 2 courses, that's 20 hours. But my bet is that Angela will tell you it's a lot more than that, particularly if you're trying to work. And so we recommend, if people are working full-time, that they try to only go part-time for the degree program. I don't want to throw a wet blanket on things, but I also just want to be honest, because this really isn't meant to be get as many people in here and do as right. We really want people to succeed, and I don't want to set somebody up for just no, yeah.
Have you had people, so is post-graduation something? I also read that you don't accept students that have other, graduate degrees. Do you
Oh.
so other doctorate degrees? For instance, after I would be to graduate from medical school, to take it immediately post-graduation.
Yeah, no, that's not entirely, I'm not sure where that information comes from, and we would love to see it, because if it's unclear,
Yes.
if you could direct us to that. Because if you think about it, Grace was a PharmD student who had just finished her doctoral stuff and joined us. We have lots of physicians who are already MDs in practice. Okay. And so, right, we have RNs, so I'm not sure where that, we gotta dispel that rumor quickly. Okay. Yeah, I would say that, typical pathway for an MD human would be then to go on to a residency. However, I've also known folks who have started a residency program or nope, and no longer practice clinically, but have other degrees, whether those are MHIs or Masters in Health Informatics, or even this degree, and are working and other things. So I think, I would recommend talking to your advisors about what works best for you, because there's this traditional pathway through an MD degree and into practice. And this would be a unique way to go. And as somebody who took the hard way, right? Because I went to medical school, I did my OB-GYN residency, and then 10 years after that, I actually went back and got a master's in higher education. from our School of Education. Took a pay cut, paid full tuition, you know, like, and worked part-time, like silly. So I definitely get the hard road. And I will tell you, it was the best thing I've ever done. And it's how I ended up in this place and space. And, you know, over the next institute, I'll be happy to share more about that, how we got here. But so I don't want to discourage you, but I also don't want to tell you something that's not true for your school.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful, and I have a lot to think about now.
Good. Yeah. Candace, did you have more questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the academic statement of purpose and the personal statement. Are these one document or two separate ones? Because I have reason to believe it's both, depending on where you look.
Two separate.
Two
Gotcha.
separate? Okay, so how long would you like the personal statement to be?
I need to look at the requirements, but I think it's 2 to 3 pages. It's on our website.
Okay.
3 to 4 pages, but I can send
On
it.
the HILS page, it's not specified.
Okay. let me-
On the Rackham page, it was, so I wasn't sure if it's on the Rackham page, just go off of what Rackham is saying.
Go with what Rackham is saying.
Okay.
And I'll make sure it gets on the HILS online.
Okay. And then for the academic statement of purpose, for the reasons that we're selecting our faculty advisors, I could go on and on about that. Would you like to keep it short or just a couple of sentences, or would you like some meat to why I'm choosing the people I'm choosing?
I would say it depends on how long your overall statement is, because we do want to limit that.
So that's part of the 3-page that we have for that. Okay, then I
Yeah.
can work with that for sure. And then when it comes to our understanding of the learning health systems, are you looking for a bibliography along with that, or just we can paraphrase what it is and how we would apply it within our scope of our project?
I would say the latter. When you yeah, no bibliography.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. You know, that the holistic review is, and the reason why we ask for an academic statement of purpose and sort of a personal is really this holistic understanding of who you are as an applicant.
Okay.
If you, again, it's sort of like, you know, if someone didn't have an understanding, a clear understanding and the ability to articulate what a learning health system is, or how they engage in medical or health system already, and how they might want to change it or apply the information, you know, that they would garner from this degree to change, you know, then we worry that, is this person a good fit, right? Okay. The personal statement also helps explain things that may or may not be on a transcript, right? There's gaps in education that occur, right? Because again, like, you were an OB-GYN resident for 10 years and then you're like, oh, let me go back to grad school.
I started writing it, and I was spending a lot of my budget, you know, the paper length on why, like how I would apply it. And then I was like, do I need to explain this in more depth, or is that already, you know, like I'm explaining how I understand it through the project. So that's helpful, that I don't need to overthink it.
Yeah.
So.
And like Angie suggested, maybe have someone else read it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just for flow and for length. And you know,
my biggest hang up was how many do I need to have a bunch of sources? So it sounds like I don't.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's, if you did, you wouldn't be dinged for it.
Right.
And really, again, it's this holistic, you know, can someone write, right? Will they do well as a graduate student? Because as I'm sure Angela can tell you, there are skill sets that are required that you might not necessarily think about ahead of time.
Sure.
So it's not multiple choice questions anymore. It's actually reading and interpreting and sort of putting thoughts down on paper to explain your position or your understanding or your sort of goals, that kind of thing.
And the application for early scholarship consideration is February 1st. Are we allowed to apply now if we're ready?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. It's open and ready to go. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
start reviewing until that February 1st deadline. I know that
Oh, okay.
6 to 8 weeks is when we typically try to get back to applicants, but we won't start reviewing and getting back to applicants until after the 1st.
Okay. Sounds good. And I guess a question for Angela, since you're here, how do you envision using this degree in your real life once you've graduated?
So I am also a nurse and a paramedic. I work in Alaska, and what I really want to do is we need learning health in Alaska. You know, when I talk to people where I work, they don't know what learning health is. Like, it's a different language that I'm speaking. It's so we just need to spread this everywhere. And that's what I want to do. I think my health problem of interest that I really want to start with is kind of integrating, because I have 1 foot in EMS and 1 foot in the hospital, and kind of integrating them through. A lot of EMS services have this mobile intensive health. Michigan has it. They call it community integrated paramedicine. But just like bringing these together, EMS is part of healthcare. It just needs to be tied together in a way that you have a record and a continuum of care from the moment that the first provider reaches the patient all the way through the system. So anyway, that's my elevator speech.
And are you attending the program part-time?
I am not. I'm attending full-time, which so far is doable, but every spare moment, you know, like cancel your Netflix subscription, cancel your Disney Plus, whatever. No social media, don't read the news. If you have a moment, you're going to read a paper or a book or start writing something, or yeah. So think about, yeah, I don't know that I would recommend it, but I'm doing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I would be doing part-time. I know myself well enough.
Yeah, and I will say I did my master's degree part-time. So it took me 2 years in the School of Education. And it's true, I'd go to class post call, you know, and like I was like highly scheduled in terms of reading and writing assignments and everything. I used to joke that sort of it was like this big juggling act. Whichever ball was closest to the ground was the one I was going to pay attention to, and then throw it really, really high so that it would stay up there for a while. But it was worth it. Definitely. Good. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour. So I want to make sure we get all the questions answered, but also know that Angie is going to send a bunch of information to you after this. We're always available to answer questions. If you need, to talk or meet one-on-one, or if after you talk to sort of folks in your environment, you still have additional questions, just send them along to Angie or me, and we can help answer them. Angie, anything I'm missing?
No, that's it. If you have any difficulty getting in touch with the faculty who's not responding, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help out if I can. And again, I'll be sending all this information sometime later today.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to
Thank
meet you
you.
both.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Angela.
It was nice to meet you all. Thank you.
You bet.